All right, friends, it's 11:11. Look at that. Time for another Sunday setup, except today is Monday. But let's take a look at oil first. All right, ideas for oil. So in the videos you saw last week, if you did, if not, no biggie, we will get you up to date. So last week I had quite a fan of downward trend lines going, and 2 of them got crossed. Now they are kind of invalidated, so now I can get rid of them. So now you'll just see these 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 downward trend lines. You'll see this 1 green upward trend line, and then you'll see some levels of support and resistance, and then this little gray guy here, which I'm unsure about, but ooh, you know what? I am sure about it. That looks like a great level of support. But I like to make them gray just to kind of clean up the view of our chart a little bit. Sometimes throwing all the colors on there, it makes it look a little messy, a little confusing, so the gray kind of makes it blend in. Anyways, so what are our ideas for oil? If oil can break out of this downward red trend line, I'm thinking long positions. The price of oil is so close to this upward green trend line that if I do take a long position, my risk is minimal. So this is a lower risk trade, so if it doesn't work out, I'll know pretty soon. And the fact that it's kind of hit this area of support and bounced off, so we're thinking this is going to be a low risk trade if this does not, continue up. If this ends up rolling over and going short, we'll know pretty soon, and loss will be minimal, and we'll know pretty quickly also. So that is if the price of oil can continue up and cross this downward red trend line. Where are we thinking take profits? Well, I'm in a 4-hour time frame, so I am in these trades for a lot longer than most. So I would probably be thinking somewhere below this 79.57. Not quite on it. I like to just bring it down just a little bit just in case it doesn't quite get to it. Just like over here, it didn't quite get to that area of resistance. It might not quite get to it, so I'd put something close to that. Another area we could consider is a bounce off of this downward red trend line in the middle. So we could think, from here to somewhere around this 78 to 77.90-ish area, somewhere if it hits this trend line. But for the most part, I'm thinking just a little bit above it, right below this area of resistance. So that's if oil can go up. If oil goes down, I am going to wait for double confirmation since the price is so close to not only this upward trend line, but also this area of support. So if I take short positions, I really want to be convinced, so I will need it to cross not only this upward green trend line, but also cross this gray level of support at this 74.06-ish area. And then take profits could be somewhere between this 72.40 or, if we're in this for the long haul, could be right above this 69.88. But I don't plan on probably staying in it for that long, so I may be considering taking a profit at 72.40-ish. So if the price of oil crosses both of these, thinking short positions. If the price of oil can cross this downward red trend line, absolutely thinking long positions. So pretty easy analysis for crude oil. Always make sure we've got alerts on our trend lines. Yes, we do. So that we are the first to know when the price gets to or crosses these lines. Okay, and let's just make sure one is on this area of support. There we go. All right, so we'll be the first to know when the price of oil crosses either one of these lines. Right now, it is stuck in between. It's right in limbo, so I'm not in any positions right now. This is kind of a time to be patient and wait for the price to tell you what to do. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, I am not thinking any positions yet. It held true to this area of resistance. Could be rolling over. All I think I can do now is just come in with maybe one more steeper trend line to see if I could get maybe a sooner entry. would have been here and it crossed. I will put my trend line here for now. So we've got a touch point here, touch point here. So only 2 touch points for this trend line, so it doesn't hold a lot of weight. It's not as important as these previous trend lines, but we'll draw it. It could give us a sooner indication to go short. I'd be apt to take in a short position just because it'd be a lower risk trade. So if this doesn't end up rolling over, we would know pretty soon, and the amount of risk or the amount of loss we would take if it doesn't work out would be minimal. And so just a quick trade, minimal risk. So more prone to taking the short side of this if it does continue down. Now, if it can break through that downward red trend line and this area of resistance, all right then, we got no choice but to think long positions. So that is my idea for the NASDAQ. Pretty plain and simple. I will go back and show you guys the ideas that I had before. So we've got this downward trend. I'm going to make it red so you guys understand that it's a downward trend line. Okay. So we got plenty of touch points. Plenty. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 touch points. And as soon as the price crossed this downward trend line, that would have been my signal to go long. And then look at what it did. It made a beautiful move all the way up to this area of resistance. So just a quick scenario of exactly how these trades work out, my thinking behind these trades, when my alerts go off, when the price is crossing one of these trend lines, I'm thinking long or short. So just like over here where the price was traveling down, and then as soon as we got a reversal in the trend, price broke out of the downward trend line, I'm thinking long positions. Now very well could be the same deal here. Price has been trending up. If it reverses and comes down, I'm thinking short positions. So that's my strategy in a nutshell, to be honest. But okay, that's the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the Dow. Should be fairly similar. Yep, pretty similar. I'm not going to add any other steeper lines. I think the price is close enough to this upward trend line. So what I am going to do, though, is adjust this downward trend line to now encapsulate the wick of that candle. So now if the price can stay below not only this area of resistance, but also this trend line, I'm comfortable thinking short positions. But if it can break out of there, I'm absolutely thinking long positions. I can't have a bias. I can't let, news sway my opinion. I only let price action tell me, do I need dry shampoo? No, I got plenty. I'm only letting price action influence my decision. So if price breaks out of the trend that it was currently following along and starts to reverse, I'm thinking short positions. If the price of the Dow continues along this trend and continues trending up, then I have no choice but to just follow the trend. The trend is your friend until the end. But even if it reverses the trend or reverses direction, you're still able to get in anyways. Okay. But okay, ideas for the Dow. If the price crosses, I would be thinking until short positions, take profit would probably be somewhere along this upward trend line, maybe somewhere around this 33,753-ish area, maybe a little bit lower, depending on if it can fall down fairly quickly. If it takes some time to fall down, it might be a higher point, but that's what I'm thinking for short positions. For long positions, let's see if we've got any higher levels of resistance here. We might not really have much to work with. Oh, we do have some other levels. Okay, so we've got this high up here, this 35,217. We've even got this 34,691. So we got a few options for long positions where a level of resistance that it could get to. Okay, so those are the ideas for the YM. ES, what are we thinking here? ES very different only because I adjusted my trend line, but you can see the price of ES broke through pretty clearly this trend line, which had 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points. That's absolutely beautiful. Even 5 before it crossed over here. Beautiful trend. Just absolutely followed along it. Spot on. Okay, broke through. Everyone was thinking short positions. hit this level of support, then retested the upward line. So now we're at a very interesting moment. This could be, you know, a retest. I know it's a 4-hour time frame, so this is a pretty drastic retest. Usually it comes down and retests it here, but this made a huge move down, a huge move up. So this is a pretty large move and a large retest. But I would be inclined to take in short positions if it can cross this upward trend line, which I did not do a very good job of drawing. And if it can stay below this area of resistance and below this downward trend line. So if it can do all three of those things, absolutely, you better believe will be very inclined to take in another short position. You know, riding it back down close to this 40.75-ish area. Maybe not quite. I'd put it just a little bit above. But if it can do those, I am inclined to take in a short position. But if the price is just continuing up and breaking out of these levels of resistance and this downward red trend line, we got no choice but just follow the trend. And if it's going up, it's going up. All right, corn. I'm not even going to mess with corn anymore. It gapped so far down that I can't even incorporate my trend lines. We've just got this little tiny mess to work with. And like, what do I do with that? I have no freaking idea. I'm going to draw its own mini trend line. That's all I can do. So we can either just use what we've got to work with, this amount of price movement, and hope that this, you know, closes that gap. I mean, as long as the price of corn can stay above this upward green trend line, I mean, we're safe, we're comfortable. So that could be an idea. I'm not going to mess with it. Excuse me. I'm not going to mess with it. It's that gap is too drastic for me, and I don't have enough data to incorporate my trend lines with just this small amount of price movement. So I'm going to sit back and watch this one before I decide to draw trend lines or engage in a trade, which you guys know I don't really enjoy trading corn, so I probably won't be engaging in it. But I do like to practice with it and draw my trend lines on it. So moving on. Platinum. Platinum made a nice move down that I didn't get into today. That was my indication to go short, but I've had my eye on gold, so I kind of was saving myself for gold. But according to my strategy, I did get the signal to take a short position. I just saw it and was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get into gold instead of platinum. But I did at least get my signal, told me to go short, so we'll check back, you know, next week and see how this one plays out. We got 1, 2, 3 touch points, and it's still heading down. So as long as it can stay below this area of resistance, I'm comfortable, I'm happy. And some areas to think maybe take profit could be somewhere around this 1033-ish, or we could try to ride this bad boy all the way down. But I would be much more inclined to riding it to that 1037-ish area where it's hit these 2 touch points before. You know, let's go ahead and just draw it. Let's see if that's hit anywhere else before. It's not an incredibly accurate level. No, it's not. It hasn't been hit spot on as many times as I'd usually like them to be. I'm gonna get rid of it. It doesn't look as accurate to me. Delete. Okay, but those are the ideas for platinum. Now gold, which has been driving me absolutely freaking crazy. Gold has gone absolutely nowhere. Sideways. Completely sideways. It has been driving me nuts. That was not fun at all. Trading that was an absolute nightmare. So I'm waiting for it to actually make its move. At least what's nice to know is that price only goes in one of 3 directions. Up, down, or sideways. And it only tends to go in one direction for a certain amount of time until it does one of the other 2. So it's been going sideways for a significant amount of time. It is bound to now head in one of the other 2 directions, either make an up move or a down move. So I am excited and ready when it does decide to finally make its move. So it's always nice to, Yes, we've seen some sideways movement for a while, but now we're ready for the move. Now let's get it. So ideas for gold. If we can break out of this downward red trend line. Oh, excuse me, I'm yawning. If we can break out of this downward red trend line and also break out of these little levels of resistance that it's got over here around this 2024, this 2020 area, this 2015. If it can break out of these little levels of resistance that it's hit in the past, absolutely thinking long positions, and we very well could be breaking levels that that it's hit before. Ideally, I want to be in position for a long in case this does decide to break its past levels of resistance. Before, this 2064, I think it's hit 3 times in the past, so this very well could be the time where it's just breaking out of it. Maybe this, level of resistance is becoming weaker. So excited for that if it does happen, and I'll be in position if the price can cross this downward red trend line. I'm thinking long positions. Now, if this continues lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower and lower and lower, and we cross not only this upward green trend line, but we also cross this gray level of support, I'm absolutely inclined to think in short positions all day, and probably would try to write it down to this 1937-ish area. I could find something in between, but I think I'd be happy trying to ride that all the way down. I'm more inclined to placing a higher or lower take profit, depending on what position I'm in. Because it's been sideways for so long, the odds of it making it a bigger move now that it's gone sideways for so long is just higher. It's a higher probability. So those are the ideas for gold. Let's see what we had left. Oh, that was it. All right, thanks for watching, guys.